You're listening to Fast Facts, Ask the Expert with Katrina Sanders, brought to you in part by our friends at TheraBreath. Stay tuned after the episode for a special message.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Ask the Expert with your expert for this week, Katrina Sanders. This week, we are asking the age-old question. Many of you probably get this question from your patients. Many of you are actually wondering this question yourself. And that is, do you brush first or do you floss first? Well, there was a research study that was done. This research study dating back to 2015 looked at the efficacy of brushing and flossing order on the control of plaque and gingival inflammation. So basically, they did two separate groups. They had a brush, then floss group, and then they had a floss, then brush group. And after all the subjects of this study were evaluated for control of plaque and gingival inflammation, they came to two very interesting results. The first was that flossing followed by brushing provides a more statistically significant improvement when compared with brushing followed by flossing. So that was the first conclusion. But the second and more interesting conclusion actually needs to dial back to who's asking the question. And what I mean by that was they actually looked at the differences statistically between men and women. And they found that there was a far more dramatic difference in the men who flossed first, then brushed, compared with the men who brushed first, then flossed. There was a huge statistical significant difference. That difference wasn't really as significant in the female gender. And so, interestingly enough, now there were some remarks going around about the effect of gender on plaque index and bleeding scores in association with the sequencing of brushing and flossing. So maybe that tells you a little bit about who's a more skilled brusher or flosser. This study was actually replicated on several dental students in May of 2018 and published in the Journal of Periodontology. In this study, they looked at mechanical plaque control methods. So really, we're looking specifically at plaque index here. And comparatively, they looked at the removal of dental plaque in two different groups. Group number one was brush, then floss. Group number two was floss, then brush. They found that the statistically significant difference, once again, was shown in flossing followed by brushing. That is the preferred method when we look at the reduction of interdental plaque. But here's what's more. This study also looked at fluoride concentration within the interdental plaque. And it was found as well that when patients flossed, followed by brushing, that there was a statistically significant increase in fluoride concentration that colonized that interdental plaque. So there you have it. The age-old question, brush first or floss first, according to research as we currently know it, flossing first is the optimal way to control not only interdental bleeding scores, but more specifically, plaque retention complications, as well as fluoride concentration uptake. This has been Ask the Expert with Katrina Sanders. Thank you so much for joining me for this scintillating conversation about appropriate oral hygiene modalities. I need to share one final caveat in that we know that while floss is an optimal means of interdental care, it is also important to acknowledge that depending on the level of disease that our patients have, that other interdental care modalities, things like interdental brushes or water flossing, for example, may provide an even more optimal way to control interdental bleeding and interproximal plaque retention. And so, although we know that brushing and flossing seem to be the common modalities we will utilize to approach a healthy patient, please know that we are also looking at other interdental aids as opportunities to support our patients in overall self-care routines. Thank you for joining me, Katrina Sanders, for another episode of Ask the Expert. I will see you next month to continue the conversation. Please feel free to reach me on Instagram at The Dental Wine Genist or on my website, www.katrinasanders.com. Cheers.
Thank you for tuning in to Fast Facts Ask the Expert with Katrina Sanders, and thank you to our partner on this episode, TheraBreath. Do you have patients who need an antiseptic mouth rinse but don't like the burning sensation it causes? You can now recommend a simple solution they can add easily to their daily routine: new TheraBreath Deep Clean Mouth Rinse. Its antiseptic action formula does not cause a burning sensation because it's alcohol-free. TheraBreath Deep Clean Mouth Rinse only contains 6 key ingredients, including CPC, that kill 99.9% of bacteria that cause bad breath, plaque, and gingivitis. If you want to try a free sample, visit trytherabreath.com. That's trytherabreath.com.